feel like my speech is going to be really inadequate compared to everyone else's, but I'll do my best. Hello. It's really weird that 4 years after starting uni, sat here delivering a speech. I made a few notes, but it's going to be a bit off the top of my head as well. And I promised to try and keep it short and sweet. That was originally so that we could all watch the England game, but that's kind of gone now, so we'll just go with it. I thought I'd start by going through why I ran and sort of use that to talk about some of the things that I'm proud of achieving this year. One of the first moments that I thought I should run, or that I knew I had a reason to sort of want to change something within the guild, was probably pretty much 2 years ago exactly today, where one of my predecessors was giving his leaving speech in this room, and I just sat there wondering sort of who is he talking to within this room that is directly related to sport. And it was at that moment I realised that sport was sort of missing within the guild, and there was a place or an opportunity for that to be improved on. And so that's the first thing I was really proud of, was in Jimmy's year last year, when we worked together to create the motion which created the sport club guild councillors. So that was really cool, and I felt that that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to run for this position. And I think one of the proudest things from this year that I'll take away is that, I think it was about 2 days ago, at the end of club conference, sport club committee training, it's like this 2-day, whole day event thing, organised by UB Sport, and me and Molly Brown, the VPS elect, we worked together on holding a big sport committee election, where we got everybody to vote for four out of the 6 representatives who will sit in this room next year. And that was kind of like the tick on one of my biggest manifesto aims, and it's been a result of a whole year's worth of review of how like sport representation works, and really sort of trying to bring back the momentum behind this idea of representation within UB Sport, because I think that sort of left for quite a few years when it was taken away back in 2006. I can't really remember when. So I'm really proud that that's come back, and working quite closely with Molly, I'm really excited to see what she'll do next year with the new sports committee. Another thing that I'm really proud to have worked on this year, or to have as one of my main manifesto points, was to try to improve accessibility in sport. And this was something which was quite close to my heart, but also I just felt it was really important, and there wasn't much being done about it at the university or at the guild. And so I know that perhaps one of my regrets this year is not giving as much time to it as I could have, but I'm really proud to have started the development of a sport accessibility and equity strategy with UB Sport, and this is going to be in the lead up to the new sports centre, and will be a document which sort of helps helps lead their strategy on accessibility within sport, and that's in all areas of their activities, not just sport clubs, but related to memberships and swimming pool and everything. A few other things which I was like quite pleasantly surprised, which worked out quite well this year, and that was only recently. We did a body positive swim event the other week, and I wrote about it in my officer report, but now I can report back on it, and it went really well. We had like 15 people turn up to the women's only session, and I literally posted it like twice on Facebook. So I think that was like evidence that there's strong demand for that type of event, and I'll be feeding that back to the Munro as well as an idea that they can take forward next year. And another thing which happened at club conference training for the first time, which was quite significant, I think, is that for the first time we held a breakout session on sport for all. This was during committee training, and in particular we focused on disability sport and LGBT sport, and we had this group called Sport Allies come in, and this guy called George who led it, and he was really cool, and he just spoke to all the students. We had about 44 people in total, sport club committee members, who voluntarily came along to this session, which wasn't obligatory. And some of the things that he said were really eye-opening, especially when he was like, you shouldn't just rely on like perhaps your one LGBT friend to like teach you everything about the issues that exist, that you need to take up on yourself to educate yourself about these issues. And I think that's like one thing I've tried to do this year, but hopefully I will definitely continue to do more. And that's really try and learn as much as I can about all types of issues that exist when it comes to participation in sport, but just some wider engagement with different types of people. there are a few memorable moments from this year that I will definitely not forget. Sombrero Gate was one of them. That was good fun. Not. But actually, they made a joke about it a couple of times at club conference the other day when I was speaking. The image of the theme was Lego. The presentation theme was Lego, and there was a picture of a Mexican Lego person who kept popping up every time I was speaking, and everyone was like, haha, and I didn't realise it was behind me. But then I did realise, and I just thought, you know what, if there's one thing that's going to make people think about the zero tolerance policy when they're choosing their fancy dress, like, I don't mind if I don't mind if that's me, like, if they think of that whole incident, if that makes them think of the zero tolerance policy and the wider issues surrounding that when it comes to fancy dress, then, like, I'll happily take a few jokes at my expense for that. The other one, so I knew, like, coming into this year that, like, I could really sort of expect the unexpected to happen, but I didn't expect to break my leg. I think that'd probably be fair to say that it's quite sort of like, yeah, I didn't expect to break my leg, but it happened, and it goes to show that things happen, but you will survive them. Like, I'm still standing here at the end of this year, like, with a smile on my face. And I guess that's sort of the message to the new team. I know there's only like 2 of you here, 3 even. Everyone's here. But, like, unexpected things will happen, but as long as you, like, stay calm and work it out, take some space if you need to. I probably definitely should have taken more time to just, like, gather my thoughts around everything. But, like, take time if you need to when things come up and you think it's the end of the world and you're not going to get through it, because it will be okay. And there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. I also have a few things that I'd like to apologise for today. I was going to bring up the RAs as well. And to all the RAs in the room, if there are any of you here. I'm sorry I couldn't work with you more this year, or come to your events even. I was an RA myself the first year, Elgar Court Representation Officer. No, and I really value the scheme, and it gave me a lot. And I probably wouldn't be standing here if I hadn't first gotten involved with the RA scheme in my first year. I got a lot from the people I worked with and that sort of introduction to the guild that it gave me. So I hope you do well in whatever you go on to do after this year, and I wish you all the best. I feel like I could have done more with healthy living. I just like pizza too much, and I'm not the best on nutrition advice, but I know that Molly is very, like, keen for it, so I'm sure she'll do wonders with nutritious and delicious things next year. And I guess, like, to the team, like, I'm sorry if I haven't. Sometimes I felt like I haven't been able to contribute as much as I would have liked to at certain times this year, and I feel like sometimes I did perhaps let individuals down when they needed me the most, whether that's because I had my own stuff going on or I didn't feel able to sort of, like, speak up when I should have. But hopefully I feel like we've survived at times a very difficult year, and that's made us stronger as a team, but also as individuals. I think we've all grown. I certainly have learnt a lot from this year and have taken away a lot of valuable experience that I won't ever forget. I'll just wrap up then with a few thank yous. Most of the people who I want to thank aren't actually in this room, so I'll go through it quite quickly. But all of the staff at the Munro, they've sort of been with me ever since I first joined a sport club and went through their committee structure as secretary and captain. And then it was actually Chris Anthony who was one of the first people who nudged me to run for this role, and for that I'm eternally grateful, because his support has always been really valuable. But just the wider team as a whole this year, they've really been very patient and supportive in everything that I wanted to do. All the guild staff as well. We probably wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for guild staff, and I think their work is hugely appreciated by the team, but perhaps to the wider student body who don't realise how fundamental they are to the running of this organisation. So just a genuine thank you to everyone at the guild who's shown support or appreciation or patience with me this year. To all the sport clubs, and in particular I have to mention gymnastics and trampolining, who I got involved with since my first year, and I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for my involvement in that club and everything I was able to do with them. They really sort of helped me become the person that I wanted to be whilst at university. And a wider general thank you to all the sport clubs who've engaged with some of my projects and events this year. And the funny thing is they only really ever say like thank you or congratulations like when they're really drunk at sports night, but that's fine, I'll take that. And I think they all enjoyed Sportsville as well, so that's a good memory to have with all of them. My housemates, I keep saying that I wouldn't have survived this year without them, but I think if there were two people who have seen every side of me, it's Jen and Patrick. Patrick, I've lived with him since my first year. He knows everything about me. And Jen, she literally, she saved my life this year. I don't know how I would have, survived breaking my leg and trying to, do this job without her sort of constant support. And so I owe both of them a lot. And I probably won't ever be able to repay them. To the part-time officers, I've loved working with you, and I think you're the only one here, unless I've missed one. No. I think the work that you do is so important, and it's so good to see such a momentum behind getting you more involved in some of the fundamental decision-making things that happen on a daily basis next year, because I think your work's really important, and I'm really privileged to have worked alongside you, in particular Leonie, with things this year. And to the officer team, you've each I won't go through individuals because that puts me under pressure, and I'm going to write you all a card anyway. So, but I think as a whole, you've each taught me different things. Tom as well, I've learned a lot from him, and he's not here to hear it, but there's a lot of things that he's taught me about myself, and that it's okay to not be okay sometimes, and also to stand by your beliefs and values. So although he's not here, lots of love for all of you. And Poppy, I know you're going to do a fantastic job next year. Just keep at it. Remember, you are Beyonce. It's been a difficult year for all of us, but I think it's made us who we are right now, and I've loved every minute of it. So thank you.